The sciatica tends to give people like a huge problem. It's not a small pain, and it's not a pain that necessarily um, comes on and goes away. For a lot of people, once their sciatica starts hurting, they hurt all the time. And a lot of them end up going to medication. So what are some things we could do to know what might be causing the sciatica problem and we could do about it?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. So sciatica, technically speaking, sciatica actually starts, in your spine. So you've got a nerve being trapped because you've got a bulging disc or something like that in your spine, and then that nerve runs down your leg. For most people that say they have sciatica, what they really have is they just have tight glutes, and that is putting a constant pressure on the sciatic nerve in the glute, and then that runs down their leg. Um, and there is a very distinct difference between the two causes. Um, but in most cases, I have found that, and because I actually had sciatica one myself, man, 10 years ago. My right hip, the first time I got it treated, I went to my physio. She's amazing. She dry needled my glute, and my glute spasmed and released, and instantly the pain was gone. Like that was it. It was just tightness of my glute. But then in a couple of weeks' time, it was back. And that was the process that I went through. We all know that merry-go-round of releasing the pressure and the tightness and the pain for it to come back. So what I was doing was effectively dealing with the symptoms. So that's what I find most. So this get back to the lower back pain and the tightness in the hip. I actually find in most cases, if we can people with that sciatic pain, they've also got exceptionally tight hips. They have very limited rotation in the hip. They have very limited space in that capsule. So the body is literally just protecting us from ourselves and creating a tightness to stop our leg moving in ways that the body knows it's unsafe. And that continual tightness on that nerve is what's actually causing the pain. So if we can once again, create enough space and get that hip working properly, the body no longer has to protect us from ourselves, will no longer create that tightness, and the tightness goes away. And when the tightness goes away, so does the pain. Um, you do want to get that tested, obviously, because if the pain is coming from your spine and it's literally your nerve being, pressed on in your spine, you want to go and get a test and a scan on that to see what's going on. If that's not an issue, then it's most likely just your hips and your glutes. And either way, even if it is coming from your spine, releasing your hips or getting your hip to work properly so that you don't have all this tightness around your glutes and hamstrings and lower back is massively going to impact how much pain you're going to be having there anyway. Because if you can imagine, if your hip doesn't move properly, like flexion, so hip flexion is when if I like lift my knee towards my chest, right? Most people cannot get their leg up to about 90 degrees of their hip because they're restricted in movement. But every single time we put on our shoes, we need better movement than that. Every time we use the dustbin and brush, every time we get out of bed, every time we go to the toilet, me sitting down right now. So if my hip doesn't move, well, my spine has to. There's no other option. So by having hips that don't move properly, I am putting pressure on or I'm asking my spine to move where it probably won't have to or shouldn't have to. So if I do have an issue from sciatica there, the more I can get my hips to move, the less pressure and stress my spine is going to be under on a continually daily basis.